business, but she's going to talk about how she's going to share a little bit about how she does this business as a busy mama. I think that's a lot of times the biggest thing that happens to people is, the excuses of why they can't do it, why they don't have time. And, I think that what I love most is how we as moms, we get to be the heroes that our kids seek in the world. And I know that that's something that Peggy's passionate about as well. So, Tasha, could you share her bio, and then I'm going to just pass on over to her. Okay?
Of course. So welcome everybody. I think Suzanne is recording now, which is fab. So welcome everybody to our international Team YOLO. I'm really sorry that I'm being quite quiet. It's because it's 2:30 in the morning in England. I have a housemate and I'm in my PJs. So really glad I could jump on and listen to you, Peggy. I'm so grateful. Thanks so much for doing this call for Team YOLO. So Peggy is a 50 Club National Marketing Director, which is the pinnacle position in our Juice Plus company. She's been with Juice Plus for 7.5 years, and she reached National Marketing Director in 4.5 years. She's been nominated for 12 and 24 Club of the Year, and won 24 Club of the Year last year at the Elton Awards in St. Louis, which is like a really prestigious awards for those that are new to this call. She has a military spouse, her husband Alex, who is a captain and a physical physician assistant in the US Army and is a sales coordinator also in her Juice Plus team. Peggy has a degree in biblical counseling from Liberty University that she obtained while she was going for NMD. They both have 2 children. Jonah is 15 and Charlotte is 10. So she's a busy mama too. And they live a really exciting life now, making friends as they move around the country with the military every 3 to 4 years. They're so thankful that this Juice Plus business is completely portable and they get to work remotely because she can move quite readily in a second with her partner. And we all know how incredibly awesome it is to be able to work remotely with this business. So I'm going to shut up and say over to you, Peggy, and thank you so much for joining our call for us.
Well, thanks for being on, and it's 2:30 in the morning. Now I feel like I have to be quiet so you can be quiet. That is great. So welcome. I know there's a lot of international people that get on this call too, so that's super exciting. Just keeping it real, I just had to text my son. Did you see me mute myself? Because he's next door FaceTiming his cousin, and he's making boy noises, so I had to tell him to be quiet. So anyway, just there you go, doing this business while we're raising kids. Anyway, so yes, I'm super excited to be here and tell you all about how I got to National Marketing Director and beyond, raising kids. And I wish I could see all of your faces. I can only see a few of your faces. So let me tell you my story, and then we'll kind of dive into some tips that I'd like to share about how I did this along the way. So it was about 7.5 years ago, like she said, that our family was kind of at a point of a crisis a little bit. Our finances were a mess. Our health was a mess. Our health in particular, my daughter had severe constipation. She was 4 years old, and she was experiencing very severe constipation from the time she was a newborn until this time period. So she was 4. And it was stressful as a mom to have, a baby that was in pain all the time. And we didn't know how to get through that. And the doctor just kept giving us medicine, and it would go away for a couple of days and then it would come right back. So we knew that we didn't want to live in that cycle of medicine, but I didn't know what else to do at the time. And like Natasha said, my husband's in the military, and he decided when he joined the military that he would join enlisted, which means he didn't go in as an officer. And I don't know, for those of you that know very much about the military, you don't get paid very much when you're enlisted. So our family was broke. And I was a stay-at-home homeschooling mom, and I really felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. Since we moved around so often, it was great to be able to be home and homeschool so my kids could have that consistency. But at the time, I was considering going and getting a job outside the home because my husband was stressed out. We were not making it through the end of the month with our finances. I would have to call my dad every single month and ask him for a $500 loan, but I never paid it back because we couldn't. So I'd have to ask him to wire us $500 every month just to put groceries on the table. And both of us were embarrassed about that. I mean, who wants to be an adult raising kids and having to borrow money from your parents? Nobody. And so it didn't feel good, but I was considering getting a job. So I remember the day I was sitting at my kitchen table like in my robe, just feeling all sorry for myself. I called my best friend, and she tells me, I'm telling her all this stuff about our family's finances and our health. And she just listened. And at the very end of the conversation, she said, you could always take a look at what I do with Juice Plus. And instantly I said back to her, no, I am not one of those people, right, that stay at home and sell things. I'm not going to do it. But thank you, but no thanks. And that was the end of the conversation. Well, a couple of days went by and I just felt really convicted because I had literally been praying for a solution for our health and for our finances. And I just turned down the best offer that I'd ever had to, maybe make some income and get my family healthy at the same time. So I called her back a couple days later, gave it a few days. And I, of course, said, yes, I'll jump in. So I jumped in with both feet. And my goal in the very beginning was to earn an extra $500. That was it. That was to replace what I was borrowing from my dad. I didn't really see anything beyond that. But I started, backtrack just a second. My daughter, within a week of being on the gummies, was completely healed of her constipation. And as soon as that happened, I was like, wow, I can't not tell people about this. I know so many other moms that are struggling with kids with digestion issues. And how do I keep this to myself when it helped us? So I had to share it with other people. So that's what I started doing. I just started opening my mouth and sharing, and it only took, a little while, and we were earning $500 pretty consistently. And then that just kept growing and growing. And here I am today. So the rest is history. But I'm going to tell you some of my best tips for what helped me get to where I am today and still keeps me going through what I'm doing today, growing my team. So if I look over to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I don't want to forget anything. But the very first thing, so number one, the very first thing that my upline national marketing director, when I first started this business, told me to do was to put a fence around my Juice Plus time. And at first I was like, I don't understand what that means. Like, what do you want me to do with that? So imagine, this like invisible fence in your calendar around the time that you can work on your Juice Plus business. And this is good for everybody. I don't care if you have kids or you're single or you're married or whatever. It doesn't matter. This can be for anybody. Treat the time that you can work your business like an appointment. Like, if you were at work and this was a corporate job and you had a meeting, you would go to that meeting or else you would get fired. But the good and the bad part about being our own boss is that we're our own boss and we don't have anybody to be accountable to except for ourselves. And so our boss can be our calendar if we're going to be diligent and do it. So if you can put a fence around the time that you can work your Juice Plus business and do not let that move, don't let anything get in the way of that. That was the one thing that really helped me to start defining how I wanted my business to look. And in the very beginning, I could only literally give this business 30 to 45 minutes a day. That was all I had. And that was while my kids were napping, because otherwise they were everywhere and I was trying to multitask, and then, you can't multitask and give everybody the full attention that they deserve. And so something would slip through the cracks. And so I really just had to prioritize my time. And something else that I had to do was create boundaries, because it didn't take me very long to get really passionate about what I was doing. And I was so passionate about it that I wanted to do this business like 24 hours a day. But I had to create boundaries because I was still a homeschooling mom. And this was the vehicle that was going to let me stay home with my kids without feeling, the guilt of my husband continuing to work and, us not making enough money. So I had to put a boundary or set boundaries for myself. And so when I could work my business, that's what I was doing. And I didn't feel guilty about it because that was what I was going to do. But when it was time to put that away and go do something with my kids or, whatever I needed to do around the house or with my family, I could also give my full attention to that without feeling guilty. So give yourself that permission to be fully invested in whatever it is that you're doing without feeling guilty about, oh, I was supposed to call this person, but you're trying to be present with your kids. So just give yourself that permission and don't feel guilty about that. Okay, number 2 is get a calendar. And this might sound silly, but I don't know about you, but I used to be like deathly afraid of schedules. Anybody else like that? I was super afraid of, I don't know, it just felt like a commitment. Like if I was going to make a schedule for my day, then I had to stick to it. I don't know, just the thought of that gave me a heart attack because I like to be spontaneous. Okay. And I like to kind of fly by the seat of my pants. But what I realized quickly is if you live your life like a fly by the seat of his pants person, then your business is also going to be that way too. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to have an intention with it. So I had to go get a calendar. And this is actually my favorite style of calendar. I don't know if you could see it very well, but it has like the 15-minute increment time slots, kind of like a hairdresser or a doctor would have, you know, just to have those time slots. I don't know if you saw it. Anyway, you can get this at the store, at any like office store or whatever, but it's flat. So it has Monday through Sunday. I could see everything and I love that. But what I did, okay, so how many of you have a daily method of operation? For those of you that I can see your face, do you have any sort of like plan when you're getting ready to do whatever you need to do for your business? Okay, some do, some don't, that's okay. Well, like I said in the very beginning, I didn't really have a daily method of operation. I just kind of like, if somebody text messaged me, I just message them right back. I don't care what I was doing. I just like, everything was overlapping and crazy and disorganized. So I got a calendar and I decided to create a daily method of operation that worked for me. We do have really great methods to work our businesses. And I know there's a really great one in the Mission Driven Model from Wendy Campbell, which is awesome. And it has like the 2x2x2 format. So you can, work, 2 new customers, 2 new team members, 2x2, all these 2 different things. But that's every day. And that freaked me out a little bit. And so that didn't really work for me. I tried that method for a while and it didn't work for me. If it works for you, keep it. I don't want to shake up the way that you're doing things if it's working for you. But if it's not working for you, maybe this trick will, that I learned from another national marketing director, and I kind of revamped it to my lifestyle, is Monday was my customer care day. Tuesday was team care. Wednesday, prospect follow-up. Thursday, events, and Friday is get out of the house. And then Saturday, Sunday was family time. So what that meant was whatever time that you can devote to this business, whether it's, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, or, as my kids obviously are older now, I can devote more time because they're in school. But in the beginning, I had to really prioritize that time. So on Sunday nights, every Sunday, I sit down and I map out my week and I decide what my days are going to look like and what time I am going to work on my business. So I know on Monday, when I sit down to really focus on my business, I'm really going to focus on customer care on Monday. So that's what I do. And then, Tuesday, team care, prospect follow-up, events were on Thursday. So for us, that meant whether it was like a Facebook event or a live event or going to a Prevention Plus event, something like that, partnering with the sideline, doing something. Those Thursdays were for events. I find that Thursdays work really, really well because nobody wants to do anything on Monday night, usually, like getting out and going to an event because it's Monday. I found that Wednesdays, a lot of people are either doing like some sort of church group or sport. Thursday seems to be really great. So that's the day that I plan for events. Friday, for getting out of the house, this is super important because this is really easy. Our business is really easy to just sit behind a phone or a laptop, stay in your pajamas or your yoga pants all day long. Totally fine, not knocking you because that's what I did today, actually. But also, it's important to get out in the community. How are we going to get people into our funnel if we're not meeting other people? So we won't have any customers to take care of, any team members to take care of, or prospects to follow up with if we're not meeting new people. So Fridays were get dressed and get out of the house, like go to coffee or lunch with a friend, set some intentional time that you're going to get away. Maybe you can join some sort of a group or do something involving actual humans instead of like just your keyboard and the laptop or the phone. So that's my advice for doing a daily method of operation. Again, if you already have something in place, keep it if it's working for you. And if it's not, try this, and it might work for you too. Okay, number 3, social media. Let me tell you a little story. So since my husband is in the military and we move around every 3 or so years, about 4.5 years ago or so, we moved to New York, so upstate New York, in January. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the northern United States in January. It is cold and it is gray and it is cold. Like, it is like negative stuff and it's cold. Well, we moved there from Hawaii in January, which is hot and sunny and beautiful. And so we step off the plane, it's 7 degrees, and my kids are crying, where did you move me to? And nobody goes outside. Like, the snowdrifts were literally like 6 feet tall. And I didn't know a soul. We're in our house and I'm going, okay, my neighbors aren't coming outside. They hire people to shovel their driveways and nobody's going outside. I don't know anyone. What am I going to do? So I kind of moped around for a little bit. I was at senior sales coordinator at the time. And I was feeling kind of stuck and panicking, like, how am I going to meet people? So after I stopped panicking for a little bit, I started thinking, okay, I can't go outside right now. It is cold. But here's what I can do. So focus on what you can do instead of, all the negatives that are out there, or what you can't do, right? Because I was writing this list of negatives in my head about what I couldn't do. So I had to turn that off, and I said, what can I do? And what I could do, I had internet and I had a computer and the house was stocked with food. I didn't need to go anywhere. So I decided to make social media my life. Like, that's what I did in my moments that I wasn't homeschooling. Again, I had to prioritize, make boundaries and a schedule. But I really got up in the morning and made social media my job, connecting with people, building relationships, messaging people, getting to, getting added to groups and starting to meet people that way, and just really building relationships through social media. And it can be done. You can build relationships through social media, I promise. It's the same thing as meeting somebody face-to-face. You just still have to nurture that relationship. So that's what I did. And that's how I got from senior sales coordinator to QNMD within that next year. And then a month later, I made NMD. Just because of doing Facebook events and just really, building everything up on social media. That's what I did. And moving around so often, Facebook is my lifeline. Social media is my lifeline. That's kind of my address book for my life, because, you move to a town, meet all these friends, and then you have to leave. And so that's how I would stay connected with people, was on social media. So I suggest, if you're not using social media, if it's not your thing and you're going to feel awkward or whatever, don't do it. Do what's working for you. But for me, I needed to utilize something that was going to be feasible for me to do in the middle of winter when nobody was going outside. So that's what I did. And I still continue to do that today. Okay. All right, number 4, set a timer. So this little key right here helped me to get things done without getting distracted. How many of you start to do something and then you get distracted? Like, squirrel over here, shiny thing over here, distractions everywhere. So what I would do is in the morning, I would wake up. I have this routine I do in the morning with doing a devotion and having some quiet time and all the things before everybody wakes up and decides to start, throwing things from the world at you. And once I was awake and everything was good, my kids are dropped off at school, or where, whatever point it was in my life, I knew, okay, so pick something in your life that is I really don't want to do it, but I know it needs to get done. For me, that was laundry, cleaning the house. I was I'd rather work on my business any day than clean my house or do the laundry, right? That was an afterthought. But I knew I needed to take care of my family and my house and do all those things too. And I knew it was possible. I just needed to prioritize it. So what I started to do was set my timer for 1 hour. 1 hour, that's it. I would stick my headphones in with some music, and I would zip around the house in 1 hour. I'd set my timer on my phone so it would ding in my ears through my headphones, and do as much as I could in 1 hour. And so obviously you can't do any deep cleaning in an hour, but I would zip through and do as much as I could. Maybe I would clean one toilet during that time and really like lightly touch everything else in the house, but I would get things done. Okay. Think of anything else. Maybe it's working out for you. Maybe it's, whatever you can think of that it is for you that is mundane, that that needs to get done because it's cluttering your brain. And that's what I found. My house was my office. And if my house was cluttered, my brain was cluttered. And so I had to declutter that. And I only did it for an hour because really once you get started, think about this too. Wherever your office is, it can be really tempting to just like start sorting all the papers and organizing your desk and cleaning all of that out. But is that going to pay you? No. So set a timer, I would say, for a less amount of time for that. If you're really like organizing your desk or whatever, maybe 10 minutes, set a timer, clean your desk off, and then get back to work. So set a timer. That was key for me. Okay. And the last thing is include your family or your friends or your roommates or whatever it is, whoever's around you in your goals. And for me, that was my kids. I was homeschooling. So they were my coworkers and my dog, it was them and my dog and my husband. So I had to include them in my goals. And what I mean by that was we all sat down and had like this family discussion about why this was important to me and what building this business was going to do for my family's future. And then they each I was talking to them like they're just as important to me as my Juice Plus business. And I want them to be included in that. I want them to be included in my goals too, so that they can see me set a goal and they can see me going for it and winning that goal. It was really important for me for them to see that. I don't know what it's doing subconsciously to them and their brains, but I would like to think that it's really good for kids to see their parents set goals and go after them. Also to feel like they're a part of that goal. So as I was going for like Q and NMD, my daughter would wake up in the morning and run downstairs and ask if it was done yet, or, how many more do you need? And she'd write names on the board for me. So that way when I was doing something and I needed a few minutes to do a call or have a meeting with someone or go to do an event, they all understood that. It wasn't like I was choosing that over them. I was choosing that for them. I was not letting my kids be an excuse or my family be an excuse. I was going after my goals for them. And sometimes they would come to the events with me, or we'd have events at home and they would help me get everything ready. But it's really important to include the family or the people that are around you in your goals so that they can support you. Okay, that was my last tip. And I still do these things today. My son is now a freshman in high school. My daughter is in 5th grade. So my husband's getting ready to get out of the military in February. So he will be, we're actually living in 2 separate places right now, which if it weren't for my income from Juice Plus, we wouldn't be able to do that. So we're paying for him still to live in Colorado and finish out his military time. But I just really felt like it was important for my son to go to a high school, one high school, all 4 years. It was important to me because as a military kid, he was either homeschooled or put in a school and pulled out to move. So that was important to me to move back to our hometown. So he can go to one high school with his cousins and his friends. And so that's what we're doing. We're living here in California. My husband's in Colorado. And my husband, when he gets out of the military, he's just separating from the Army at 12 years. So if he were to stay in for 20 years, he would get retirement and get that income, retirement income. But he's separating at 12 years, so he will get no retirement, no insurance. But we're not worried about that because I have insurance through Juice Plus. As a national marketing director, we get insurance, which is awesome, and a really great income, which is super great too. And so we're only able to do this and make these choices for our family because of this amazing income. So anyway, that is all I have. So does anybody have any questions for me? You're welcome, Melissa.
Unless anybody else has questions. Hi, I'm Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
I absolutely, Peggy, I just want to say you made it so simple, and I don't think I've ever heard a very clear, I like simplicity. And so it's like, I tend to be like, okay, I was writing all my notes and everything. And I think the one area that I love, well, there's many things that I love, but to start with putting a fence around your Juice Plus time, I love that. Because it's I'm very visual. And so when you were talking about, scheduling and how so I'm a dentist by profession, but I'm working part-time now so that I can build my Juice Plus business. And what I've found, which I didn't realize, is that when I was at work with the schedule, and then when I got home, I was kind of like, no, I don't want to schedule, so like psychologically, I'm like, no, I'm at home now. I don't want to schedule with my family. So doing this made it a little bit hard because I didn't have a schedule. So this really kind of makes it so that I can have both. I can kind of schedule it and carve out that time. I love that. But my biggest question, I love your DMO as well, was about the Facebook events. Was there somewhere specific that you went to learn about that, like how to do them properly, or did you just kind of like copy or mirror?
Yeah, as I think the first person that really started doing Facebook parties that I heard about was Ali Schneider was going for NMD. This was a couple of years ago. And they decided to do Facebook parties like several a day. And I thought, wow, that's it? Like I could do a Facebook party. So I just kind of started asking questions. They taught a little bit about them at our conference. I was able to learn a little bit about what they look like at conference. And I just started doing them. And I got a subscription to Post My Party, and there's other ones too that you can pre-program in your posts for the Facebook party and schedule them out. And so you don't have to be sitting in front of the computer pushing, copy paste and the picture and then just putting it out whenever. You can actually just pre-schedule them. And then your job during the party is just to have conversations with the people that are asking questions. But Facebook parties are so easy. And now with Facebook Live, you can also do lives inside of a party instead of the text, which is working out really great. So yeah, there's lots of ways to interact on social media.
Awesome. And how do you go? Go ahead.
Do you do them with other people too? I think that like we have a lot of, Suzanne does a great thing with a lot of sidelines. Do you have sidelines do the Facebook parties with you?
Absolutely. I mean, the more the merrier. We had one going, sometimes we would do it just in a 30-minute time frame and get it done. But there's other times where we have like a week-long Facebook party and we'll invite guests to come and do a live video every day. That's fun because that keeps it kind of exciting. So yeah, you can kind of make it look like whatever you want to, but the more stories, the better. And the more people invited to it, the better too, because it kind of offers that social proof that people need, that other people are excited about this too. So yeah, Facebook's amazing.
And do you go for the invites, do you go based on friends that you already have or friends of friends, or do you go public with it right away?
Usually I target who I want to invite on purpose, and I send them a private message and invite them personally. Because what we're finding lately with network marketers on social media, they're just like dropping people into groups and dropping people into parties, and people are like, wait, I didn't want an invite. I don't even know what this is. Your product doesn't even interest me, right? But if we make it personal and message them and say, this is why I thought of you, and why you would be perfect for this party. I just can't wait for you to hear this. So I target my list of who I think would be really interested in the parties.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Peggy, thank you so much. Oh, Suzanne, you have another question? Suzanne's really committed. I just want to brag about Suzanne for a second. Suzanne has been a dear friend of mine for, almost 10 years now. She's a dentist, and she's ready to really make this her plan A. And so she's had amazing results for her and her kids. And I think, the big thing that, Suzanne is such a gift to our community, and the value that she adds is that she's really committed. So I just wanted to, Suzanne, you had another question?
No, I was just gonna, open it up to anybody else that had questions, but thank you for that, Lauren. Anybody else have questions? I see Mo may have a question. She has that.
You have that
I do have a question. I have a question about the post that I saw you and your husband in.
Oh, we're just trying something new with social media. So we're learning a lot about attraction marketing and how to really present ourselves online because like I was talking about before, there's a lot of network marketers that are doing it the wrong way and being a billboard instead of, or, you know, like a searchlight instead of a lighthouse. We hear that term. And so we're just trying something new with trying to attract people to us instead of having to hunt after people, right? People are going to come to us instead of us hunting after them. So yeah. So it's all about, you know, creating curiosity with whatever you're talking about on social media. Make sure that you're creating curiosity. Something recently that we are doing is, and you can do this if you want, you don't have to, but I removed anything on my profile that says, so somebody couldn't go to my page and find out what company I was associated with. So somebody couldn't go to my page and say, oh, she's with Juice Plus. Because what they're going to do is Google. And then, right, of course, on Google, you can find a million negative things about everything, right? You type in Christmas and you can find something negative about that. Or, you know, owning a dog, I don't know, whatever. You're going to find negative things on the internet. So people like to be, you know, Google researchers, and they'll just do that and then think that they know everything about Juice Plus, and there's no reason for them to talk to you. So that's, I'm trying that too, and it seems to be really working because people are messaging me going, I don't know what you do, but tell me about it, because I think that this would be really great for what I'm going through.
Awesome.
So funny. There's a Wayne Dyer quote that says people are always looking for a reason to be offended. Right?
Oh,
so
definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Peggy. I was just sharing with everybody, we're doing a 90-day game plan with Jeff Olson's team and a couple other people. So you've made it really simple for everybody and very duplicatable. And you're showing, you know, that you're just doing your life and, you know, that we're all the same, right? Going through the same challenges and just creating great systems. So I really appreciate you doing this for our team. And we have a lot of people that are sleeping or just getting up. You know, we got them around the world. So thank you so much for being a part of tonight for us.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
Peggy.
Thank you.
Bye, Peggy.
Thank you.